Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for all your inputs in the chat. It's good to get to know one another just a little bit. I hope you're hungry for information. In our time together, I'm going to go ahead and first introduce myself. My name is Maria Perkar. I am one of the EdTech TSAs here in Corona-Norco Unified School District. I've been in this position for a year, and I have learned so much. I would love to share with you today, especially how to use an add-on to create resources that you already have. Perhaps they're digital, perhaps they are print, but how to turn those into quick forms that can help you assess or glean information from your participants, be it students, adults, etc., and go from there with quick data gathering. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. All of the slides, I'm not going to go through my slides, but they are in the schedule of the Google Camp, so you can go grab those from there. So what I would like to share with you instead is kind of the process. So before we get into that, just a clarification. I'm not sure where your level is of comfort or technological awareness. So this is how I explain it to people that are just kind of learning it. So I look at the Google Drive as a filing cabinet, if you will, where all your files and resources are stored, perhaps in the classroom, but this is a digital filing cabinet. So we have our Google Drive. Then within Google Suite, we have resources such as Google Doc, Google Forms, Google Keep. Now, Google Doc is a word processing tool, and it's a web-based processing tool, word processing tool. The Google Forms is also a web-based app that allows us to create forms, multiple choice, short answer, long answer, and I'll show you that in our time together. And Google Keep is a nifty little app with Google Suite that is sort of similar to like Pinterest. Like if you can pin your own ideas, your own collection of images, of information. It's also a great place to go and make lists. Like if you're a list maker, I love to checking things off the list, makes me feel fulfilled. And then add-ons. Add-ons are what I call the sprinkles. They're extra tidbits that you can add into the Google Suite applications to allow you to perform some pretty neat things. So with that being said, yeah, Google Keep, good for shopping, a good idea. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into the add-on that I'll be using to demonstrate today. So the add-on is called Doc to Form, and you see on your screen that I'm sharing the of what it looks like, kind of its logo or the image, and you can find it either by going to the Waffle and going to the Google Suite Marketplace, or you can open it directly or add it on directly from a Word doc. So I'm going to go and show you that. So the first way to get to it is through the Waffle in the top right corner of a Chrome browser. If you're using a Google Chrome browser, the Waffle will always be near the top right corner. And here you can go and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you will find the Google Marketplace. And then if you search for it in the search bar, Doc to Form, you should have no problem finding it. Mine shows installed, but when you search for it, yours will ask you to add or to install. So that's one way to grab that. Another way to do it is by opening up Google Docs. This add-on works with Google Docs, so it is housed, it can be grabbed on directly from a Google Docs. We'll just open up a blank one. And in the top section near the left, starting with File, Edit, etc., if you keep going to the right, you'll find add-ons as an option. And then I already have it here because I've downloaded it. However, you can go on Get Add-ons. And from here, you will search again, Doc to Form. And once you search, it will be the first one again that shows up. You click on it. And again, yours should say add or install. Since I already have it, mine says uninstall, which I won't because we need it for our time together. All right, so the next piece of information is to make sure whatever you're going to use gets uploaded to your Google Drive. So if it's a digital resource, then you click on Google Drive, and you can go up here in the top left corner for new, and then you can upload a whole entire file you already have saved on your computer, or a folder with a bunch of files in it, and then you would have it here in your Google Drive. If your resource is print and you don't have it saved digitally, and you don't want or don't have the time to type it all up again or create it again digitally, this is where Google Keep is coming in handy. So we're going to the Chrome browser again, up top right to the waffle, and we're going to select Keep. And by the way, you can move these icons around so that the ones you use the most are readily available near the top, or whatever works for you. But Keep is the one with the light bulb logo. And what you do is you scan or you take a photo of a resource. So you see here, I've prepared for us some examples already. And once you get the picture in there, what you need to do is, so let's work with this one for this example. Once the picture is added, and to add the picture, you have this option here at the top to take a note. You're going to select the image icon, and then select an image from your computer. And once you do that, it will get added onto your board or your Keep board like a pinned item. From here, within the item pinned, you have another choice bar at the bottom of it. And the three dots, the three scoops, the vertical dots are going to give you the options. And what you want to do here is you want to grab image text. Because once you grab the image text, what Keep does for us is it grabs all the text from your image, from your photo, from your screenshot, and it brings it down below in text form that can now be manipulated, it can be edited, it can be adjusted, things can be added, etc. So that's the step that we need to take. I'm going to pause here for just a second, see if there are any questions so far. Okay. So now the next step, once you've grabbed your image from, or once you've grabbed your text from the image, you want to move it from Keep into a doc. So we're going to use this first example that I have ready here. And again, at the very bottom of that pinned item, we have the menu. We're going to select the scoops. And this time we're going to copy to Google Docs. And it does it automatically for us. And then it allows us to open the doc directly from there. So in here, as you can see, we have the text, but we also have the image. It's your choice, however you like, whatever makes you most comfortable. For me personally, I like to get rid of the image so that it's not overwhelming my screen. And then I have just the raw text to work with. So from here is where the magic begins. We're going to go to add-ons, the menu at the top, and we're going to select Doc to Form. We're going to create form from Doc. And once we select that, it opens the app or the add-on on the right side of our screen. And so here now we have all these options that are going to allow this text to be placed into a form directly for us. So here at the very top, you have some instructions if you need a refresher, and even a YouTube guide, but we're not going to go to that right now. And below it, you have some options that once you decide how you're going to use the form, you can select at that time. And I'm going to go to the first question. Yeah, it's very handy. So especially as we transition from distance learning, remote learning, and now to hybrid and then in person, this has allowed bringing some of those amazing print resources that we've used in the past and making them digitally accessible to us and our students and our participants. So here we're going to go to question 1, and it says you selected text. So I haven't selected any text yet. I'm going to go into my text here on the left, and I'm going to highlight just the question. Just the question right here, just the words right there. not the answer choices. And now I'm going to click Use Selected Text, and it brings it for me into that box. Is it going to be a text response? Are my participants expected to type out a response? Not in this case. Is it a paragraph response? No, it's a multiple choice for us. So for this question, I'm going to select multiple choice, but based on your needs, you would select the one that would be most appropriate for your question. Now, the whole select and drop text is not an option here. However, we can add the text by selecting it with the highlighting, copying it, pasting it in here. Now it does ask us to separate the items with semicolons. So we're going to go in here, add the semicolons. I'm also at this time going to get rid of my letters from before. They're not needed because the form will do that for me automatically. This does take a bit of, a hot second, but we can certainly manage that. Let's see, we got a colon, semicolon. Yeah, don't worry about the spaces or anything like that at this time. Question, did that start as a screenshot? Yes, well, no, it was a photo. It was a photo I had of a printout, but either screenshot or photo will be the same method within Keep, and then grabbing the text from the image and bringing it into a doc. So now that this is ready, I could continue and I could say add a question, and continue and finish up this part. But for our time together, I'm going to go ahead and create the form so you can see what that turns into. And while it's doing its thing, we just wait a few seconds and then it's ready. We can view it at this time or we can create another. We're going to go ahead and view it. And by clicking View Form, it takes us into the Google form, and it also saves it into our drive automatically. Anytime you open any app with doc, forms, etc., it'll save that file into your drive. Now it's called Google Keep form, Google Keep document form at this time. I may want to change that. So maybe we'll call this comprehension quiz or comprehension check. And once you name it up in the top left section of the form, it'll also change its name inside the form. Another time saver there. At this time, we can also add a description or more directions for our participants if we wish. So we might want to say here, use your text to help you answer the following questions. And that'll appear on the form when our participants view it. And we can see that all the answer choices and the question text have transferred in here nicely. There's an extra choice bubble here, so we're going to go and click in it or next to it. And at this time, we can edit our form even further by removing it, clicking on the X on the far right of that line. And then once we click out of there, you can see it's cleaned up nicely. Also, if at this time we want to add another option for the answer choices, we can certainly do so by clicking Add Another and go from there. But we won't, we'll get rid of that. Now, if we want this question to be required, meaning the students or participants cannot move past to the next question until this one's answered, this would be the place to make that an option. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay. Now, once we make it required, a little red asterisk will appear in that section. So it's a quick visual for us to know, okay, that's a required one, and for our participants to know that's a required one. I want to go back just briefly to Google Keep before we go a little deeper into the form. And I want to show you that even if you grab an image that has a table or a word box, a text box, etc., it will grab every text from it. So anything that you can type on your keyboard, if it appears in the image, it will grab it. Numbers, symbols on our keyboards, and letters, punctuation marks, etc. So here you can see it grabbed the title, Concrete and Abstract Nouns, and then it went on to grab everything that was inside this box. Concrete nouns name things. So if we scroll down below, you can see here concrete nouns name things, and so on and so forth. How does it work for math? Well, let's check it out. So here's a screenshot of some fancy mathematic annotations. We're going to go ahead and click on the 3 scoops for grabbing the image text. And it does grab certain things while not others. So the square root, the computer recognizes it as a capital V because that's what's on the keyboard. We don't have a square root button. So math does get a little tricky. You'll have to get creative on that, depending on how high up the math level skills go for you and your needs. However, if it's more simple, like just basic equations, addition, subtraction, it comes out just fine. So plus, minus, multiplication, it comes out just fine. Then I also wanted to show you what happens if you have a picture. So this was a picture of a classroom, and we'll see what text it grabs. So what it actually does is it goes around the picture, and this is a picture of a classroom, and it grabbed any letters, numbers that it found. So up here you can see there's a cursive alphabet poster. We have some other posters around the room, and it grabbed all of that information. Now, is this useful for a form? Maybe, maybe not. But just to kind of show you what happens to images and when you grab the text from an image. All right. So yeah, keep is a keeper. Let me pause and see if there are any questions. Fantastic. So going back to the form. Once we're in here, if we are working with perhaps low readers, non-readers, English learners, littles, we might want to add visuals. So we can certainly do that. We can click in the section. We can click in the section for the question that we want to add an image. And there's so much to explore here, but just for our time together, I'm going to go ahead and click on add image. Let's see, this question is about main idea of a passage. Okay, something about trash, recycling. Okay, so we're going to look for something that has to do with that. We're going to look and let's search Google image. Perhaps not trash. Let's say street cleaning. Okay, all right, cool. This might be a good picture right here. So we'll go ahead and add that in here. Now, certainly we wouldn't ask this type of question of littles or low readers or non-readers in lower grade levels. This is a 3rd grade question, but just to model for you, if you're working with maybe TK or kindergartners or beginning readers, this is a way that you can add an image, and it could be perhaps paired with a sound question or a spelling question or a sight word question, and it could be added here. Now, you could type a question at the very top instead of an image title, or you can move it above the question that we just had, or in the question above it, we can give directions to use the image below or something like that. Also at this time, you can decide, I don't want to be multiple choice, I want it to be something different. Maybe I want my students to write a short answer or a paragraph, or I want it to be some kind of different layout for their answer choices. This is a good time to do that here in the form. And another thing that you can add is a video. So for example, a fun one I like to show is there's a screaming frog out there. And of course, it wouldn't come up when I need it. I call it the Michigan frog effect. That's all right. Here, this one I think is it. Used to be at the top a few months ago. There it is. Okay. So with this question, this might be something like a morning starter or something like bell work or a journaling question. You can go as low or as high with this as you want to. But let's say we want to ask our participants, why do you think this frog is making such noise? And this we might want to turn into, actually we can't do it from here. Let's drop that out. So we'll add a question and we'll say, watch the video above and answer the question. Why do you think this frog is making such noise? And now we want to turn this into a paragraph question because we want to give our students opportunity to write. So then it changes here with space for them to write in here. So with that paired up, let's make it required. So that's an option. Now, up here in the left, if you're not super familiar with forms, I'm just going to show you a little glimpse at what these options are. And if you click the eye, it gives you a view of what your students or your participants would see of the form. So you can see what we worked on adding is already here, but it's in response form. So it's ready for the participants to complete and to turn in. And we can close that tab and go back to our editing version here. In the top right corner, near the top right corner, also you have the settings option, where you can see if you want to collect the emails of your participants, or you could also restrict to your domain. I know a lot of our teachers, or most of our teachers, were using this option because then the students are fully documented, that they logged in properly, that they completed the task, and no one else could access it other than their login with their student login. You can also limit to one response if you don't want multiple responses. Certainly if it's an assessment or a quiz, it may or may not be an option that you want to take. If it is just a one and done, then certainly click it. But if you're looking for giving students opportunities to improve, then you might not want to select that. Then you can allow students to edit after submitting or not, again, depending on what your purposes are for that activity. And if it's going to be a quiz, then you're going to want to click on the quizzes tab in this section and select make this a quiz. Now what that does, let me save this and go and show you, is it allows us to go into a question. And once we select it to make it a quiz, it gives us the opportunity to make an answer key. So here, we're going to give this question a value of 1 point. And let's say this was the correct answer. So we select it. So that creates our answer key. And then if we want, we can even add feedback to our students. So let's say the student marked it incorrect. We might want to say, try again. Be sure to use the text to help you. In our district, especially with the curriculum we've been using the last couple of years, our students are encouraged more and more to use the text. It's what, in the old days we used to call open book. And they are more and more encouraged to rely on the text to support their answers, to support the information that they provide. So that has been a push for educators with our students, especially as of lately, because they need it. They're not used to it. They're used to having to put everything away, all the walls are cleared, just what you have up in here. But we're training our learners to be lifelong learners and to go to the sources and the resources they have to support what they're searching for. So this would be a good place here to put a reminder. If it's incorrect, try again. Remember, use your text. If the answer is correct, we might want to do an attaboy here. Something like that to encourage our participants. And then we can go ahead and save it. The trick with making something like this quiz with an answer key when we're looking at open-ended questions is, let me show you. Where's our screaming frog? There it is. With multiple choice, it's very simple, it's very basic, it's very straightforward when it comes to an answer key. This is the answer, this is the answer. But when it comes to open-ended answers or open-ended questions, it gets a little trickier because the system is very sensitive even to capitals or lowercase. So if a student starts their sentence off with the lowercase, which is not uncommon with the littles especially, they will be marked incorrect because the answer key had started with the capital. And because the creator of the form has no way of anticipating how all the possibilities into one, an answer key with open-ended questions it's not recommended. It would be more of a situation where you as the form creator would go in and read every submission and give feedback. That's my recommendation, rather than using an answer key and the student or the participant receiving a low score because of little details that you were not even planning to assess. Maybe punctuation was not the goal, but the system marks it as incorrect because a period was missing or a capital was not in the right place. So if you're looking more for content rather than structure, you will want to open-ended questions, go through and really read yourself and give feedback in that way. Let me pause and see if there are questions. Are you recording? Yes, I believe this is being recorded. And we all should have access to it later. I believe so. And also the slides that I'm using, not showing the entire time because I wanted to model more with actual how, the steps rather than just going through slides, but they are available to you on the schedule if you go to the session information. So all of these slides here are available to you. Also on the slides, you'll find some resources. I found that when uploading images into Google Keep, it's a little finicky. It requires a certain size. So I've included in here a how to change a file size or an image file size so that Keep would grab it. I've also included here a little how-to of how to link forms in slides or in docs. And I'll go back to forms and show you how to grab that link. And then also with commenting with forms, there's a little more information here for you guys to review at your own leisure. So let me go back to forms and show you how to grab that link. So to share your form, you can add it to a Google Classroom. You can send it directly to your participants via email or whatever platform of communication you use, digital platform. So you would go and click on send near the top right corner in the form. And here you can have the option to send it via email, or you can grab the link. I like to grab the link, and even more within here, you have the option to go with a shorter link. So you can click shorten URL and you grab this, you copy, and then you can go, let's say we're gonna put it in a Google Doc, and you can just paste the link right there, enter to make it active. Or if you wanna get a little more fancy, which I like to get, you can search the web and we can say, let's look for a frog. Let's insert that frog in here to make it a little smaller. And we're going to hyperlink that with the URL that we just grabbed for our form. So now our participants can click on the frog image and be taken to the form. Just a couple of different ways to do that. Let's see. Yes, Myra, our moderator, has confirmed this is being recorded. All right. Let's see. Are there any other questions? Anything you'd like to see again? Anything you'd like me to repeat? When I share, can people I share with edit my copy? It seems like that's what happened to me before, so I have to make a copy of original. How do you share without making a copy? And they only, yes, great question. So when you go to share, if you're sharing with students or participants within a Google Classroom, they will not be able to edit your form. If you're sharing with colleagues with the link here, let's see, where are your slide share? They are in the Google schedule. So if you go to the Google Camp schedule, but I could grab a bit.ly for you all too that I use with this one. Let me just grab that real quick. Let me put that in the chat. Okay, so when you are in your Google Drive, and let's go find that form. We call it comprehension check. And you can search in your Google Drive simply by going up in the search bar. If you're the person who doesn't organize and just puts everything in there, find it later, just typing in kind of what was it called, that would work. Or if you have folders, that would work too. So here's our comprehension check. If you go from your Google Drive and you share it with others, okay, you can copy the link. At that time, you can also change the settings of that link. So you can say it's restricted, only people with the link will be able to use it, or within my own domain, say your district, or anyone with the link. Usually I do anyone with the link, so there are no issues of accessibility. Now, here is the key. You want to make sure that they are not, you copy the link, hold on, okay, and then done. Now it does say they are editor. So if you share it that way, so let's say I'm gonna go into an email and the person opens it, you'll notice here in the link, the word edit, okay? Now, if you give it to the person in this way, yes, anything they do to the form will alter your original file. So what you wanna do is you wanna grab the link like I did, go in where it says edit, and instead say copy, okay? So now when a person receives it from you, they're forced to make a copy of their own. And then from there on, anything they do to it will not affect your original document. So one more time, grabbing it from your drive, right-clicking, share, deciding who gets it, right? Anyone, restricted, whatever. But you'll see here by default, their editor, which is fine. We'll go ahead and copy the link, done. And then if you're going to paste it in an email, so we'll do new message. And if you paste it in here, you want to go and highlight the word edit right there and write copy instead. So now they're going to be, like I said earlier, forced to make a copy. Like that. Okay, all right. That's a great question. I know early on when this became everyone's reality and it was so new to so many people, the idea of sharing digitally, that was a common issue, that we were sharing with good intentions and people were tweaking and recreating with good intentions, but altering the original document when that wasn't the goal. So anytime you're sharing any links, you want to make sure you go in there and instead of edit, you make copy. You could also do template preview, but if you're not going to collaborate on something, definitely get rid of the edit in there. Only keep it if it's a collaborative effort and several of you are working on that document and you want to build it up together. All right. Are there other questions? Right. Well, if there are no other questions, that's what I had planned to share with you for today. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it helpful. I know someone commented, I wish I'd known this 18 months ago. Yep. But I'm glad you know now, and that you can take it back to your classroom or your district or your educator world and use it as best fits your needs. You're so very welcome. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for, by the way, this is my first time doing this. Thank you for being so kind to join me today. And I hope that you learned something useful.